A lot of people ask us, how do you prove your damages in any kind of accident case? And that's a great question. Because sometimes I think our clients think that we can just say, hey, you know what, my client was really hurt, and you guys need to pay us this big fat stack of cash. And the reality is that we can't just say my client was really hurt. And so the first thing that we do is we want to make sure that you get all the treatment that you need to get better, because the objective way of proving that you have damages is medical records. And so, and then the other thing that we have to do is make sure that your treatment was reasonable and necessary. Okay, sometimes I get the medical records and billing back in a case, and I realize that they have $20,000 in chiropractic care. Well, that's not reasonable and necessary. At some point we should have cut off the chiropractor, and if there's still a problem, then we need to move on to something else. And so the first way of proving your damages is your actual medical bills, and they have to be reasonable and necessary. Second way that we can prove your damages is your own story. Okay, and so that's one of the reasons that we recommend that you keep a journal of your experience. And this doesn't have to be super long. I'm not looking for a novel, pages and pages of your own experience. If you want to write a novel, that's great. But if you want to just say, look, I really had trouble picking up my kid today, and it really made me sad that I couldn't pick up my 3-year-old and take care of him the way I could before the accident. That's awesome. It could be 2 sentences to just say that, because what we're looking for is what I call the before and the after. So the before would be, I used to be able to take care of my kid, pick him up, do whatever, play with them. Now I can't. So things like that, your own experience really helps. And then number 3 is sort of the testimony of other people around you. So your spouse, your siblings, your parents, your best friends, any of these kinds of people can say, yeah, I remember that before the accident, Miles and I used to, go hunting, or we used to go to the gym, or whatever, and now Miles can't do that. He basically sits around and watches TV in his armchair because he just can't do that after the accident, or whatever. But it would be, so third parties can really help to tell your story as well. And then number 4 is experts. And if your case goes into litigation, then a lot of times what we have to do is get experts involved. And so there are 2 kinds of experts that we might call to be experts in your case. The first kind is a treating physician. So somebody that you've worked with that's tried to help you get better. That would be a treating physician that's an expert. And then another one is just a straight up expert who would basically look through all your medical records and be able to testify as to what happened to you and what's wrong with you and how that's affecting you into the future. That would be another medical expert. And then one that we oftentimes will hire as well to help with your case is somebody called a life care planner. And that would be either a registered nurse or a medical doctor or a doctor of osteopathy, so an MD or DO, that are trained to do life care planning. There's a certification that you can get for life care planning for both nurses and doctors. And we would have them So then they would basically give a summary of all of your treatment and say, hey, because they had this problem, they're going to have to do these types of things down the road. And as a result of this accident, these are the things that he's likely to need. And this is how much that's going to cost. And so what we're trying to do is figure out, what your damages are going to be over your lifespan. So yeah, there are a number of ways that we prove your damages. So pain and suffering isn't just a legal phrase. We use, your medical records, testimony of other people, your own testimony, and the testimony of medical experts to show what the scope of your pain and suffering is going to be over the rest of your life, to show the insurance company how much they need to pay to compensate you for your injuries. So if you have any questions about your case, feel free to call us. The call is free. It's a free consultation. And remember, we don't get paid unless we get you a settlement.